Ever walked through a city park and thought, wow, someone really put a lot of thought into this?
Yeah,
Well, you might have a landscape architect to thank for that.
that's true.
Today, we're diving into the world of landscape architecture using RoleCatcher's career guide as our trusty map.
Okay.
We're going to uncover what this field is all about, what kind of skills you need,
Right.
and how you can even get started.
Yeah, it's more than just making things look pretty, you know,
Right.
which is a common misconception, I think.
Yeah.
Landscape architecture is about designing outdoor spaces that are both functional and beautiful,
Right.
blending nature and human needs seamlessly.
It's like art you can actually walk through, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And not just parks either.
No, no, no.
I was surprised to see the sheer range of projects landscape architects tackle.
Absolutely. We were talking about everything from residential gardens to large-scale public parks, even urban planning projects.
Wow.
There's a surprising amount of variety in this field,
Yeah.
which keeps things interesting.
Speaking of interesting, I'm curious to hear about some of the projects you've worked on. What's one that stands out as particularly um, unique or challenging?
Let me see. One project that comes to mind involved transforming an abandoned industrial site into a thriving community garden.
Okay.
You wouldn't believe the challenges we faced just getting the site ready for planting.
Really?
Oh, yeah. The soil was contaminated from years of industrial use, so we had to bring in experts to do soil remediation and then
Wow.
carefully select plants that could tolerate those conditions.
Wow. I never would have thought about soil contamination. What a cool way to use your expertise to give back to the community.
Yeah, it was really rewarding.
So it's clear that landscape architecture goes beyond just picking pretty plants.
It does.
RoleCatcher mentions operations analysis and systems evaluation as core abilities.
Right, right.
Can you break down what those actually look like in practice?
Sure. Those might sound a bit technical, but they are crucial for creating those functional and sustainable spaces we aim for.
Okay.
For instance, operations analysis comes into play when we're designing a park.
Yeah.
We have to consider how people will move through the space. Where will the pathways go? Where will people gather?
Right. Yeah.
We need to create a design that flows naturally and minimizes bottlenecks or congestion.
So it's about anticipating how people will interact with the environment you're creating.
Exactly. And then there's systems evaluation. Let's say we're incorporating a water feature into a park.
Okay.
We can't just focus on how it looks.
Right.
We need to think about things like drainage, water conservation,
Right.
even how the water feature will impact the surrounding plants and wildlife.
Right. Yeah.
This is especially important given the increasing emphasis on sustainable design.
Makes sense. You don't want to create a beautiful water feature only to have it flood the park after the first rainfall. So you got to think about the big picture
For sure.
and the long-term impact of your design choices.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And to effectively address all of these factors, a landscape architect needs to be a skilled communicator.
Yeah.
RoleCatcher emphasizes soft skills
Mm-hmm.
like active listening and clear communication. And honestly, I couldn't agree more.
It seems surprising at first, right? You think of plants and design,
Right.
not necessarily client meetings and presentations.
Yeah.
So why are those communication skills so crucial in this field?
Because at the end of the day, we're designing spaces for people.
Right.
And those people, our clients, have ideas,
Yeah,
dreams, and visions for their outdoor spaces.
sure.
We have to listen to their needs and translate their sometimes vague ideas into a tangible design. And that requires constant communication and collaboration.
It's like being a design therapist, in a way. You're helping people articulate their vision for a space and then making it a reality.
Yeah, there's definitely an element of that.
Speaking of making things a reality, let's talk about what it takes to actually become a landscape architect.
Okay, sure.
The RoleCatcher Guide talks about career stages. What's the typical path look like for someone interested in this field?
It usually starts with a solid educational foundation.
Okay.
Most aspiring landscape architects pursue a bachelor's or master's degree in landscape architecture from an accredited program.
Right.
But, and this is something RoleCatcher stresses, it's not just about the degree itself. Real-world experience is critical.
So it's not straight from the classroom to designing your own Central Park.
Not quite. Internships are key. Think of them as your training ground, where you get to apply what you learned in school to real-world projects.
Right.
You might be assisting senior landscape architects with site analysis, helping draft designs, or even doing research on sustainable materials.
It's all about getting your hands dirty, literally.
Yeah, exactly.
And I imagine those internships are a great way to make connections in the field.
Definitely.
RoleCatcher also highlights the importance of networking.
For sure.
Any advice for someone just starting out and maybe feeling a bit lost in the vast world of landscape architecture?
Don't underestimate the power of simply reaching out to people whose work you admire. When I was starting out, I emailed a landscape architect whose projects I'd been following for years.
Really?
I kept it short, genuine, and focused on their work. To my surprise, they responded, and we ended up having a virtual coffee chat.
Wow, that's great.
That single email opened up a world of advice and insights that I wouldn't have gotten otherwise.
That's such a good reminder that even established professionals were once in those starting out shoes.
Exactly.
It's all about building those connections, even if it feels intimidating at first.
Yeah.
Now, RoleCatcher mentions certifications like Layer, Sites, and LEED.
Okay.
I have to admit, those acronyms sound a bit like a secret code.
Yeah, they can be a little confusing.
Can you decode those for us?
Think of them as badges of honor in the landscape architecture world.
Okay.
The LARI, or Landscape Architect Registration Examination, is the big one. In most states, you need to pass this exam to become a licensed landscape architect, which means you can officially call yourself a landscape architect and take on independent projects.
Okay.
Sites, on the other hand, focuses on sustainable site design.
So if someone is passionate about environmentally friendly design, that's the certification for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sites demonstrates your expertise in creating landscapes that are beautiful, functional, and gentle on the planet.
Right.
We're talking about things like water conservation, using native plants, and minimizing the environmental impact of a project.
Okay, yeah.
Then there's ELEAD, which stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design.
Right.
This one is more about green building practices.
I'm sensing a theme here. Sustainability is clearly a big deal in landscape architecture these days.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And it goes beyond just being a trend. Clients are demanding it, communities are expecting it, and frankly, it's essential for the health of our planet.
Right.
Landscape architects have a crucial role to play in creating a more sustainable and resilient future.
That's what I find so inspiring about this field.
It's pretty amazing.
You're not just designing pretty spaces, you're creating solutions for a better future.
Yeah.
Speaking of finding those ideal projects, RoleCatcher itself is a fantastic resource for job seekers, right?
Definitely. It goes beyond a simple job board.
Yeah.
They provide insights into salary expectations, interview tips, and the skills you need to succeed in this field.
Right.
Having access to that kind of information can give you a real competitive edge.
It's like having a career coach in your pocket, guiding you every step of the way. Okay, so we've covered the skills, the education, the certifications, even how to land that dream job. But let's step back for a moment and talk about the bigger picture. What excites you most about the future of landscape architecture? What are some of the trends that you think will shape the field in the coming years? We've talked about sustainability, but I'm curious to hear about specific projects where you felt like you were making a real difference in that area.
Let me see. One project that stands out involved revitalizing a neglected park in a lower-income neighborhood.
Okay.
It had become run down and really wasn't a place for people to enjoy the outdoors.
Right.
The city's more affluent areas had these lush, inviting parks, so it felt really unfair.
That's sadly a common story.
It is.
You're right. Everyone deserves access to green spaces, regardless of their zip code.
Exactly. So we worked closely with the community to understand their needs.
Okay.
We incorporated play areas designed with input from local children,
Oh, wow.
community gardens where residents could grow fresh food,
That's great.
and even a small amphitheater for local performances and gatherings. And of course, we made sure to use drought-tolerant plants and efficient irrigation systems to minimize the park's environmental impact.
It sounds like you created more than just a park.
We
You
did.
created a community hub that also addressed environmental concerns.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It was really rewarding to be a part of.
Yeah.
And, technology is also going to play a huge role moving forward.
Right.
Imagine using virtual reality to let clients experience a park design before construction even begins.
That's mind-blowing. Instead of just looking at a 2D plan,
Yeah,
they could walk through the space virtually.
exactly. We could test different design ideas,
Wow.
see how the sunlight falls at different times of day,
Yeah.
even simulate how the space would look and feel in different seasons.
Wow.
And that's just one example. Artificial intelligence could help us analyze site conditions and optimize designs for sustainability,
Yeah.
or even design green walls and vertical gardens that bring nature into urban spaces in entirely new ways.
It's incredible to think how technology might further amplify the impact of landscape architecture.
Absolutely.
Wow.
The possibilities are pretty much endless, and that's incredibly exciting.
Yeah.
There will be new challenges, of course, but
Right.
I am optimistic about the role we can play in shaping a more beautiful, sustainable, and equitable future.
Well, I think that's a perfect note to end on.
I agree.
It's been so inspiring to dive into the world of landscape architecture with you.
Likewise.
We've covered a lot of ground today,
Yeah, we have.
from the essential skills and career paths to the future of the field.
It's been a pleasure. It's
Yeah.
always rewarding to talk about a profession I feel so passionate about.
And for you listening, remember what we discussed about those certifications?
Yeah,
Sites and LEED are more than just acronyms. They're proof of a commitment to a greener future, a commitment more and more clients are seeking.
it's true.
As you continue exploring this field, ask yourself, what kind of mark do you want to leave on the world through landscape architecture? What kind of spaces and places will you create? Thanks for joining us for another deep dive.